putting a hitch on your Chevy Traverse can take you to some amazing places. You can go camping, hiking, bike riding. You can take any one of our U-Haul trailers anywhere in North America. So, but before you go out and buy a hitch for your Traverse, let's go ahead and check and make sure if you have a factory one installed. And the way to do this is you're going to see on your rear bumper, there's going to be a plastic panel. And on the bottom of your plastic panel, there are going to be 2 clips. What you're going to do is you're going to want to turn these clips and it's just going to pop out. Once we have this popped out, you're going to see that we do not have a factory installed hitch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and proceed with our hitch installation from U-Haul.
You will need the tools seen here to complete this installation.
We are going to be removing some fastener points, but before I get to that, let me point out to you, this hitch is going to be a little difficult. So give yourself 2 to 3 hours install time. We are going to be removing the bumper. So I want you to take a look right here at the taillights. We're not going to be doing anything with the taillights. But right below that, you're going to have 2 connection points right here. And behind each one of these is going to be a 7mm bolt. So we're going to take these off and remove the bolts, as well as right here on the passenger side, it's going to be the exact same thing. So if you will notice, they do come out from the top. So it might make it a little bit easier for you. So they do come out with relative ease. So once they're out, as you can tell, we do have our 7mm bolt. And we also have our drill. So we're just gonna go ahead and get these guys removed. Once they're removed, you are gonna wanna set them to the side so you don't lose them. And we're gonna repeat this exact same process on the passenger side. Now that we have these 2 fasteners removed, we have one more at the lower level. We are going to be using a T20 Torx bit. We're going to go ahead and get this removed. Now we're going to repeat the same process on the passenger side. Now we're down at the rear of the bumper. We're going to be removing these rear bolts right here. These are going to be a 15 Torx bit. So you're going to see that there's going to be 2 up here as well. You do not have to worry about removing these. So let's go ahead and get these off. Now we're going to move over to the passenger side. So now I am back here at the driver's side rear fender well. As you're going to see, there are going to be 4 connection points back here. So we're going to take the 15 Torx bit that we had on our drill, and we're now going to put it on our small ratchet because we can't get the power tool inside, okay? So we're just going to go ahead and remove each of these. So now we're on the passenger side, and I'm going to remove the same 4 bolts in the exact same sequence as we did on the driver's side. Okay guys, now that we have removed the passenger and driver side fasteners, the inside wheel well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing this trim panel right here on the outside. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to lift up to be able to pull out. Now there is, as you see, there's going to be a little indentation right here that's going to slide in here. So once that's out, there are going to be a couple of clips right here. You're going to see the first one right here. There's going to be a second one. Now there is a 3rd fastener up here. Now this one's going to be a little tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our flathead screwdriver, and we're actually going to have to just push in on the side of the fastener to be able to pop it out. Now I do want to point out that this is going to be the last fastener that we are going to remove. We're not going to need to go any further. You are going to need to be careful when you remove this fastener, as there is kind of like a breaking point here, so you want to make sure you don't go any further as to damage this trim panel nor damage your customer's paint. So now what we're going to do is we're going to need to remove this bolt right here. I'm going to take my 7mm socket attached to my ratchet, and we're just going to remove this fastener. All right, now that we've removed our 7mm bolt, we are now going to be removing the bumper from the vehicle. So now that we've gotten right under our passenger tail light, there is going to be a clip, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your trim panel tool, and you have to get it in here, and you're going to have to pull down and away from the vehicle. It's going to be a little tough, but you can do it. So once you get that clip undone, you are going to need an extra set of hands. to help remove the bumper from the vehicle. Okay guys, so with our extra set of hands here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pull these clips off. And our extra set of hands is gonna help support that. And we're just gonna move this over to the side and out of the way. Now that we have our bumper removed, to kind of give you a little idea of what was holding your bumper on and take away a little bit of that mystery, we do have 4 sets of clips that are gonna be right here. So you're gonna see these, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now each of these set clips did not require any type of tooling. As you've seen, we were able to just remove them right off the vehicle. Now that we have all of that taken care of, you're gonna see that right here, this is gonna be our bumper beam. We actually are going to discard this as our hitch is going to take place of our bumper beam. So now what we're gonna do is, before we can do any of this, we do need to make sure that we're gonna support our exhaust, because if you wanna take a look right here, our exhaust is supported by these 2 bolts on the driver's side and the passenger side. Now, when we remove these to remove our bumper beam, we do have to have something to support them. So we're gonna take our support strap right here, guys, and we're actually gonna go under the vehicle and we're gonna have the cross member and go ahead and support these. So let's get right into it. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have this cross member right here. So I'm just gonna thread my support over here, and we wanna make sure we go behind where the exhaust joins, because that's gonna be the strongest, safest support for us. So now we're just using a regular strap here. You can use whatever you have that's gonna make it convenient for you. Gonna just thread this through right here. All right, we're gonna make sure we have it nice and tight. That way we have a support. And now let's get right to lowering this exhaust. Okay guys, so you can see the exhaust right here. It's gonna be supported by these 2 bolts. Now what we're gonna do to get the exhaust bracket off on each side, driver and passenger, we're gonna remove these 2 nuts up top, and then we're gonna come down here and remove these 2 bolts down here. So we're gonna be using today, it's gonna be a 15mm socket on our 5-inch extension, okay, as long as our drill. Right. And we are lucky, the bolts and the nuts are both the same size. Now that we have everything removed, we can remove this bumper beam. All right, so now when you come, it should come just right off, but do be aware, you wanna make sure that you're not gonna damage your threads when you remove them. So on each side, just be aware of your 4 bolts. Let's get our hitch installed. Today I am gonna be using our U-Haul hitch stand. If you don't have one of these, you definitely wanna get one of these. This hitch is relatively heavy, so if you don't have one, you are gonna need an extra set of hands. Now I want you to pay close attention. This hitch right here is gonna slide right into our frame well. It is gonna have some connector points right here on the driver's side, as well as the same connector points on the passenger side. We're gonna go ahead and get our hitch raised into position, but I want you to be careful to not damage the threads on the driver or the passenger side bolts, okay? If you want to take a look down here at our bottom connectors, they did line up for us, but if they don't line up, then what you can do is you can actually take the pointed end of your pry bar and you can just place that in there and move it around until you get the exact lineup for your bolts. The existing nuts that we removed previously, we are just going to reinstall those back on here. These are a 15mm. So we have the 2 on the driver's side. Now I'm going to go over here to the passenger side and repeat the exact same process. Okay guys, so our next step is, before we can reinstall our hanger bracket right here, we're going to be fish wiring our bolts into the hitch right here. So the reason we're going to not put these in yet is because if we do, it's going to raise our exhaust into place and there's not going to be any room for us to work under here, okay? So we are going to go ahead and fish wire this into place. We're going to start with our forwardmost hole right here. What we're going to do is we're going to slide our fish wire up and then we're gonna come right back out this front hole. And as you can see, it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get it right out. So once it's out, we are going to go ahead and place our spacer block over that. And then we are going to thread on our carriage bolts. Okay, once we have our carriage bolt threaded in, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and slide that spacer block in. Now we're going to slide our carriage bolt in. Now we're just going to go right under the vehicle, give it a nice little tug, and you're going to see that our carriage bolt is going to come out right under the vehicle. Now if we were to have the exhaust in place, we wouldn't have any room to work. So let's go ahead and get our rear bolt fish wired in. So we're going to repeat the exact same process. Go ahead and slide this into our hole, and then we're going to come right back out the front. Once again, we're going to do spacer block and carriage bolt. Spacer block here, and our carriage bolt. So repeating the exact same process on the passenger side as we did on the driver's side. So spacer block and our carriage bolt. Okay, so we're going to slide our spacer block in first, and then goes our carriage bolt. Spacer block first, and then carriage bolt. Carriage bolt, and then so now we're going to remove the fish wire off of each of the bolts. All right, so now we're going to place our conical tooth washer, teeth facing up, followed by our nut. So that's just going to slide right there in place. Now we're on the driver's side. We're going to start with the forwardmost bolt here. We're going to make sure we place our conical tooth washer with the teeth up, slide that into place. Then you're going to take your nut, and it is going to be a little difficult, so you're just going to have to use your feel more than anything. Take your time, and as soon as you feel the threads catch, just slowly hand tighten. So when removing the fish wire, you want to go kind of slow. And be careful because it will pop. So when you get to that last little bit, just kind of slow down and take your time. All right, guys. Okay, guys, so now what we're going to do is we are going to torque these bolts down to the manufacturer specifications. We're going to be using a 3/4 drive. I will caution you though, the heat shield underneath is very sharp. So make sure you're either wearing gloves or you take precautions as to not cut yourself, okay? And then once we're done torquing these two bolts, we are going to move on to getting our exhaust brackets in place. All right, guys, now that we have all these bolts torqued down to the manufacturer specifications, we're going to go ahead and get our exhaust brackets lined up and bolted down. What we're going to do is we're going to replace the existing bolts that we had earlier that we removed with the new bolts from the Hitch manufacturer. These are going to be a 17mm bolt. So what we're going to do is we're going to also place the provided conical tooth washer onto the bolt, and you're going to take your exhaust bracket that we removed earlier and you're going to line it up with the hitch. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Just go ahead and get it lined up and get it started. We're going to hand tighten both of these down and then we will come back in with our socket. It's going to be a 17mm socket with a 5-inch extension on our ratchet. Now you will need to push up a little bit on that exhaust to get that to line up properly for you. Okay guys, now that we have everything hand tightened, we're going to come in here with our 17mm ratchet and our 5-inch extension, and we're just going to torque everything down to manufacturer specifications. There it goes. There we go. Okay guys, now that we have everything torqued down to our manufacturer specifications, we're going to go ahead and remove the strap that's holding our exhaust in place, and that way we'll be able to put our bumper and everything back in place. Okay guys, now that we actually have our bumper back in place, we're going to go ahead and clip in all of our fasteners and get all of our hardware in and put back in place. Okay guys, so now that we've got our bumper back on and everything in place, we're gonna get the car on level ground and get some important measurements for you. Okay guys, so now let's get those important measurements that we talked about. So from the ground to the top of the inside of the receiver is gonna be 21 inches. So now this is gonna help you determine what type of rise or drop that you're gonna need. And right here from the pinhole to the edge of the rear bumper is gonna be 3 inches. And that's gonna help you determine anything with a vertical rise. So guys, just get out there, enjoy the great outdoors, and thanks for watching our video.
To learn more about the products seen in this video, or to schedule an installation by a U-Haul Hitch professional, visit us online today at uhaulhitches.com.